Toyota's the second biggest car maker in the world. They're so good at producing cars that are reliable and bulletproof in their engineering that sometimes I wish they'd make other things as well. Like a phone. How good would a Toyota phone be? Or a TV? A Toyota TV would be excellent. Or Toyota jeans. No, not Toyota jeans. But anyway, you'd think to yourself Toyota wouldn't have a single care in the world. But the way I see it, they do have a bit of a problem. They've got a problem because their buyers look a bit like that.
Oh, hello. Hello.
Or like that. Or like that. And that's fine. The thing is, Toyota wants some buyers who look a bit like that. Only younger and a bit more female. The other issue that Toyota's had is that it hasn't had a small SUV in its lineup. So while all its rivals have literally been making millions of dollars out of selling their small SUVs, Toyota has just had to sit there and watch. Not anymore. The CH-R has arrived. The CH-R will bring new customers to the brand, typically younger, more image-conscious people who make a more emotional approach when purchasing a vehicle than traditional buyers. Those aren't my words, those are Tony's words. Tony's kind of a big deal at Toyota and he could be anybody's dad. Either way, those are inspiring words. So in one foul swoop, Toyota has picked up a stone and hit two flying animals with it. Well, they've tried to anyway. So what's it like to drive? What are its best and not so best parts of it? Is it at all practical? And does it come in any other colour? Our test car is the top of the line Koba grade of the CH-R, the front wheel drive one with a Cvt transmission. Just look at it. This is what happens when a car goes from being a motor show concept to reality without the fun police telling the designers that they can't have a nose like that, or taillights which look like that, or a windscreen like that. The CH-R hasn't changed all that much from the concept we saw at the 2014 Paris Motor Show. It still has its fat futuristic face, that wide stance, and it still has these pumped up wheel arches and the cabin slung low between them like a hammock. The concept was a 3-door hatch SUV, but Toyota has now added rear doors. Coming around the back, it's not as wild as the concept, and those tail lights. Honda is probably looking up copyright infringement laws as we speak. CH-R stands for Coupe High Rider, and Koba stands for Koba, as in Hiroyuki Koba, the car's chief engineer. And I really like these lines. They start here, separate, go down the doors, and they meet back up again. It's beautiful. Not so beautiful is the door handle, but I really like it because it looks like a spaceship airlock door handle. So, what makes it a Koba? Those 18-inch wheels, these LED headlights and taillights, those tinted windows, proximity unlocking. And if you want this black roof, it's $450. Okay, so inside the Koba grade, you get these heated leather seats. They're actually really, really comfortable and supportive. They just fit so snugly. I love them. They're not power adjustable, they're manually adjustable, which is fine because power adjustable seats totally suck. You're sitting there going, they're just too slow. The air conditioning. Toyota has got what they call Nano E air purifying, and according to Toyota, it moisturizes the air. Right. Other standard features include that tiny touchscreen, a reversing camera, sat-nav, there's Bluetooth, which is easy to set up, voice command, auto wipers, front and rear parking sensors, and push-button start. Okay, so the CH-R's insides are just as unique as its outsides. The European design team that came up with the interior really focused on texture, and I can't stop touching everything. There's diamonds that are sort of etched into the roof, these diamond prints, and the doors have got a diamond sort of feel to them as well. Everything, the seats as well, just feel good. It's actually kind of distracting. It is an impressive looking cabin, but just how functional is it all? Glad you asked, because I think there's just a couple of tiny little niggles to do with the ergonomics of this cabin. The main one is that I just feel like I'm sitting too high. This seat does not go any lower than this, and I can't get the steering wheel to go any higher than that. Now, I'm just too high, and it's not the ideal driving position, really. There's more in the back seat. Okay, the back seat. Now, this car is actually a lot more practical than it looks. These doorways are quite large and make getting in and out fairly easy. This seat is in my driving position. Now, I'm 191 centimeters tall and my knees aren't touching. That's excellent. And there's actually quite a lot of headroom. Where I find there is another little ergonomic issue is when I shut the door and I've got this really high door sill. It's a little bit claustrophobic in what feels like this tiny cave. Well, it's a fairly large cave, but a little bit claustrophobic. I might have to get out. It's actually got a pretty big boot. It's only 2 shoe boxes smaller than the Mitsubishi ASX's boot. And we can fit our very awkward CarsGuide pram in there without too many problems at all. Okay, the first thing you're going to notice when you drive this for the first time is how big it actually is. Now, it's only classified as a small SUV, but it's actually quite large, or it feels quite large when you're driving it. It's about 3 centimeters bigger than a Toyota Corolla. It's a lot bigger than a Honda HR-V. It's a lot bigger than a Mazda CX-3. It's about the same size as a Mitsubishi ASX. Okay, so the first thing you'll notice is just how perky this little engine actually is. That is, until you get to the first hill. Yes, it made it. Just. There's only one engine in the Aussie C-HR lineup. It's a 1.2 litre 4-cylinder turbo petrol, and it's so small you could fit it in your overhead luggage. But making up for that is a car that's really, really good to drive. It handles really well, it steers really well, it rides really comfortably. Oh, look, it's no surprise Toyota know how to do a car. It's just that the looks of this car are a little bit deceiving. I didn't expect it to be this good. Okay, so our Koba is a front-wheel drive. You can get an all-wheel drive. They cost a little bit more, but it's not completely vital to have it. I mean, we did lose a little bit of traction when we were trying to get up that steep hill earlier, but look, it can be a safety thing, but it's not vital. And our car as well has the Cvt transmission. All you really need to know about that is that it's an auto. It does drone on a little bit. That's just a normal characteristic of a CVT, and that can get a little bit noisy out on the highway. Yeah, look, the CVT really is a weak point. The transmission just can't seem to get the drive to the wheels like a traditional auto. It's fine for around the city and highways, and acceleration is pretty good on a flat road. But when we took it through some twisty roads a little bit later, it lacked the oomph to make it fun, and the sound of it was, oh God, the droning. And talking of noise, there's actually a fair bit of road noise coming into the cabin. Now that tells me that the cabin is not very well insulated. I can hear the sound of the tyres on the road, and it's quite loud. It's not ideal. Okay, the other thing that you're going to notice when you're driving this car is that when you go to do a reverse park, your visibility at that rear quarter is terrible. I don't know where the end of that car is. Yes, I've got a camera, but it doesn't give you a good insight into what's happening over here. And there we go. It's easy to steer, but the visibility out that back corner is bad. I would not suggest this as a first car for a learner driver. This would be a second car, I reckon. Look, although the visibility is sort of cut down with that reverse parallel park we just did, this is still a super safe car. The amount of advanced safety kit that you get as standard is incredible. You get AEB, you get rear cross traffic alert, you get blind spot. Look, I've just driven a Maserati and they weren't standard on that. I had to pay $5,000, or the buyer would pay $5,000 just to get them on that Maserati. They're standard on the CH-R. Incredible. The CH-R Koba looks like nothing else on the road. I love that it's kept its concept car styling, and what's more, I love that it's so good to drive. It handles well, it steers well, it rides really well. Yes, the engine is a little bit underpowered, but front wheel drive, that's okay. CVT does the job. Not bad at all. Oh, Toyota did also tell me it's not just young people who might like this car. Empty nesters might like it as well. To read our full review, click on this little guy right here. Oh, and subscribe. That way you can stay on top of all our latest videos.